Buckets. Hello and welcome to episode 70 of Two Man Game with Damon and Dom. I'm Damon, that's Dom, and you are the listener. Before we get into it today, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, leave 5 stars, and with either platform, share, and share. It is 10:19 p.m. for me, March 3rd, Monday evening. We've been trying to get this pod started for like 15 minutes, but we can't. We can't get it together. We're losing it over here. So it might be one of those episodes. If you've been around, you know. So sometimes we just get a little wacky, a little crazy, and it's feeling like maybe one of those nights. But we'll see. Dom, how are you?
Thank you for asking. I'm doing well. It is going to be one of those episodes because I'm choosing for it to be an unhinged episode. I'm choosing it to be unhinged from the beginning, but I'm doing good. I'm not seeing one basketball game this week. No, no, no. I'm seeing two. I'm going to
Damn.
two basketball games this week. I'm going to Detroit Pistons, Los Angeles Clippers, and I'm going to be rooting against the Clippers and rooting for Jared's Pistons. Shout out, Jared.
Shout out, Jared.
And I am going Sunday to possibly meet Jonas Valanciunas and Domantas Sabonis when the Sacramento Kings are visiting the Clippers.
What do you mean possibly meet?
So the Lithuanian consulate here in Los Angeles is setting up a Lithuanian American gathering at the game, and the Clippers are allowing us to watch the warm up and possibly talk with them, with the players. So I'm going to that on Sunday, and I'm very excited. So two games this week. Both at Intuit Dome, and both games not rooting for the Clippers. Ew. How
Guess
are
you
you
won't be a
doing,
part of the wall.
dude? I every time I go to the wall, it's sad. Every time I go to the game, I look at the wall. What wall? It's like a fence.
That's
It's like a residential gate chain link fence I can just hop over whenever I want.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, it's like part of the fence is kind of torn down.
It's a
It's not even
curb.
like
It's a curb.
perfect. Oh, it's just a curb.
It's
Okay.
just a curb. Just a curb. Yeah. Well, you know what's more important to me than the curb is how you are doing.
I'm doing all right. I slept not a lot yesterday, so that contributes to my you know, delusion that's going on, I suppose. Had a gig Saturday.
Yes. How was it? Mozart's, right? Mardi
Yes,
Gras?
Mozart's Coffee. Yeah, it was good. It was fun. Not a lot of room on that stage for our large band, that's for sure. I was
It's
up against the
small.
back railing, and I was like, played my drum. Like, yeah, it was weird. Um, Shout
Was
out
it
Jared
fun?
again because he went. He was the only person I knew that went.
Oh, sick. Did you have a good time? Was it fun at least?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. There was a
Cool.
gig. So there's another gig Saturday at the Elizabeth May Museum, but it was at like 9 a.m. and I was like, I'm not going to that. I'm not waking up for that. And
You
then we had
know,
a gig Sunday in Leander, and I was like, I'm not going to Leander. I'm not doing that. And then we
I
had a gig today, but I was still at work. And then we have a gig Wednesday. I'll still be at work.
Yo, who's booking y'all so much? Damn, they gotta.
They
I
love
mean,
us.
I guess so. Hell yeah.
So I'm playing like 1 out of 5 gigs.
I mean, it is what it is. Well, the Elizabeth Ney Museum I used to live next to. It's like North
Yeah.
Campus. I used to
That's like
live
where
over
we
there.
practice, basically. A straight
Really?
park right there.
Oh, oh, okay, sick. Yeah, there's like a tennis court and a basketball court. I used to,
Yep.
anyways.
Yep.
My old haunts, and then Leander's where I recorded my first record. Pretty
Oh.
cool. My friend's garage. So, but I would not want to drive out there for like a gig,
Yeah.
just for oh,
Especially because I
yeah.
live in South Austin. It's just way the wrong
Mm-mm.
direction for me.
Absolutely not. Well, I hope you get some rest tonight. We'll get through
Yeah.
some of this news. We got a fun segment at the end of this. I'm very excited to talk about. Like to hear what your thoughts are on some of the things we're going to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Before we get into the NBA though, shall we start with the WNBA? And the only
W.
reason why I'm passing it to you is because I don't know who this person is.
Yeah, I can't say I know much more than you. What I do know is they're two-time All-Star Ariel Atkins getting traded from the Washington Mystics to the Chicago Sky for the number 3 pick in this draft. So I think that's now the second trade we've seen for a top 3 pick in this upcoming WNBA draft.
Oh
I think somebody
yeah,
traded for number 2, for like Jewel Lloyd or whatever.
yeah.
I
The
remember that
Spark.
happening.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
So the Sky, they did pretty good last year with Angel Reese as their first round pick. I guess they're trying to kind of jumpstart that timeline, and the Mystics, I guess, are rebuilding, getting the number 3 pick. So
Cool. Yeah, good for them. I'm excited to go to some games in the off season. And in the same WNBA news as well, three-time WNBA champion Diana Taurasi retires from the WNBA. She played all 20 years with the Phoenix Mercury. So,
Crazy.
uh, thank you, Diana Taurasi.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
I
Thank
don't know.
you.
Probably what top three WNBA player of all time, right? At least.
I mean, I know her name, so definitely top three.
Sue Bird is probably the WNBA GOAT.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I guess Sue Bird. Maybe Cameron Brink, then Diana Taurasi.
Cameron
Maybe
Brink, who's played like 2 games.
Okay, maybe Caitlin Clark.
Candace
No,
Parker's in there.
oh yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I mean
an
AJ
old
Wilson.
school Lisa Leslie.
Oh, didn't she play with the Comets? I know that
Yeah,
name. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
She
actually
also used to be in backyard basketball. So that's how I first knew who she was.
is that a video game?
Yeah, it's a video
I
game. You
don't
ever played the backyard sports games? They're so goofy. They're
No, the
so
only
fun.
ones I played was Street Football. Remember that? NFL Street?
NFL Street. I never played it, but I do remember it.
It was ridiculous. I'm sure it was in the same vein though. In the same vein as NBA Street, PJ Tucker kicked to the street by the Raptors.
Nice. There you go.
I had no clue where I was going with that
Uh,
one. We're not hinged on this episode, baby. Rip the hinges off the door. We're going through.
so what? PJ Tucker, trade, wave like that.
Yeah,
That was like
literally.
his the season this season.
Yeah,
Epic,
Clippers to Heat, Heat to Jazz, Jazz to Raptors, something like that.
something like that. I
And
think
now
he maybe
waived.
flipped the Heat and Jazz, but
Yeah, perhaps. But yeah, PJ Tucker, welcome to Los Angeles. Come on
welcome.
over.
Well, I mean, he probably does live there if he was on the Clippers. He probably I don't think he
Oh,
saw he got traded to the Raptors and was like, "Let me buy a house over there." He's probably
ooh, I
like,
love
"I'm good."
Toronto. It's like I think they're gonna waive me. Yeah, they waived me.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did that. It's
they
okay.
sure
I have all
did.
these shoes. It's okay.
But we have had a lot of different things. We can try to go quick here. A lot of different small
Hmm.
signings that, and there's even more than this, but I deleted a lot of them because I was like, I literally don't know who this is. So listener, you probably will not know some of these names either. But if I knew who they were, I just kept them on here. Jaden Springer signed a 10-day contract with the Jazz because the Rockets waived him when he got traded there at the deadline, and then he played 4 games for them, and they signed him to a 3-year deal already. So congratulations on a 3-year deal.
Congratulations, Jaden. Moses Brown signed a 10-day contract with the Mavericks amidst their big man injury. So I'm assuming he's a big guy. I don't
Yeah, he
know him
signed
as
with the
well.
Pacers on a 10-day earlier this season. I think we talked about that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That does
He's
sound
like
familiar.
seven
Yep.
two and really skinny.
I mean, yeah, they just need rebounds. Someone to get rebounds.
White Powell's back. Woo!
Yeah, yeah. He played 9 minutes today. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
he had been injured for a while, and then of course they traded Maxi Kleber in the Luka trade,
Hmm.
and Lively is injured, and Gafford is injured. So yeah, their
Yeah.
their center rotation's not doing too hot.
Mm-mm. But I'm gonna mention someone later who is with them now.
Okay, Malachi Flynn, legend, signed a 10-day contract with the Hornets. He's been on the Austin Spurs this season, the Spurs
Oh,
G League team. So he scored 50 last year for the Pistons, legendary performance. So
that's
well,
crazy to
welcome
score.
back, I guess.
That's crazy to score 50 points and then just like now you're like I mean, welcome back to the league, but then just to be like in the Austin Spurs, that's crazy. The NBA is so talented now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Lamar Stevens signed a 10-day contract with the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies released Johnny Davis to create the roster spot. Johnny Davis was previously on the Wizards, and we were talking before the pod. One of those trades before just kind of got offloaded, and now he's waived.
Rip the Taco Bell commercial legend.
I didn't even.
I feel like
Yes,
we've talked about that on this podcast.
I'm sure we have, but it's if his name's not Baja Blast, I don't know it.
If his
You know?
name isn't Baja Blast, is crazy.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's Johnny. So.
You're right. It is Johnny. It's not Baja.
My name's
Can't
Baja Davis.
confirm. Jeez. Okay. Moving on. Jalen McDaniels signed a 10-day contract with the Wizards. He's been on their G League roster. I think he's averaging like 21 and 8. So they said, come on up to the big leagues for 10 days, and I guess we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, I like Jalen Williams.
Nope,
Killian
not Jalen
Hayes.
Williams. That's a different player. That's
I,
that's the
I
guy in the Thunder.
Jalen McDaniels. That's what I meant. I like Jalen McDaniels. Obviously, I like J-Dub. Okay. Anyway, moving forward, we're staying unhinged. We're staying unhinged. Killian Hayes signed a 10-day contract with the Nets.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. He was already there. He averaged 21 and 8 on their G League
Maybe that's the
affiliates.
guy I was thinking of averaging 21 and 8. I didn't even read that. I just pulled those numbers from my brain, but I guess I typed all of these, so I guess that's the numbers I was thinking of.
It's 21 and 8. It's always in the back of my head
Always
too,
just sitting there. Yeah, I don't know.
Like just a 14 and 0 run. Like there's a
Oh,
couple of things
that's
that I
another
always
good one. People don't
yeah,
know that one.
it's okay. It's
Uh,
okay.
Lester Quinones signed a two-way contract with the Pelicans. Do you remember Lester Quinones?
Warriors, right?
He was on the Warriors. He got into the fight with the Grant Williams when he was on the Hornets.
Oh, that was that. That was. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I do remember him. Yeah,
that's
when it
the
was like
only
the end of
reason
the
I put him
game.
on here.
It was like the end of the game, and they got in a
Yes,
fight.
no
Yeah.
reason.
Also, is
Uh,
Grant Williams injured? I was just thinking about this.
yeah, he had a season-ending injury. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Uh,
Uh, Jalen Hood Schifino signed a two-way contract with the 76ers after being waived by the Jazz, Lakers legend.
yeah.
Congrats to him. I mean, he's a good player, he's just very young, so we'll see what he can do when the
Had a
76ers.
tough start to his career.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get drafted by the Lakers.
Yeah.
Hey,
The Clippers waived legend Kai Jones and signed Seth Lundy and Patrick Baldwin Jr. both to two-way contracts. We love Kai Jones.
we do. And I just found this out right before the pod because I was watching Sacramento Kings and Mavericks. The Mavericks signed Kai Jones to a two-way contract, and he scored a career high today against the Kings, 21 points.
Wow,
Pretty
another
cool.
21 point mention. That's the third
Oh,
time we've mentioned 21 points on this podcast.
it might be 8 rebounds. It might be 8 rebounds too. It's definitely something like 8 rebounds. The Clippers, also in the Clippers vein, the Clippers converted Jordan Miller to a 4-year, $8.3 million contract. That's value.
Yeah,
4 years, 8 million. Jeez.
he's pretty good. He was pretty good in summer league too. Hawks converted Dominic Barlow to a two-year contract. I know that name 'cause he used to be on the Spurs. Um, don't know how I ended up on the Hawks. We probably said it at some point. It wasn't in the DeJounte trade because I think that was after that. Something. I don't know. There you go.
Sorry, I forgot everything you just said because I
That's
wasn't
okay.
listening because I found out Kai Jones scored 21 points and had 8 rebounds.
That's crazy. This is a crazy podcast.
Dude, this is we're staying crazy. We're going crazy today. In the vein of crazy, you're not going to believe this. The
I,
Pelicans converted Brandon Boston Jr. to a 2-year standard NBA contract. Nah, that's crazy.
yay. BBJ. Um, Wizards converted Justin Champagne to a four-year, $10 million contract. Julian's on the Spurs.
That's his brother, right? I was going to
Yeah,
ask.
they're twins.
Oh, okay.
I
Cool.
think maybe I
They
could
look
be
really similar.
I could be entirely wrong. They're the
Cool.
next Martin brothers.
Cool. The Cavaliers signed Javonte Green after the Pelicans bottom out. Yes, Javonte Green was on the Pelicans, and now he's on the
Hmm.
Cavaliers. Why did I just say it again? I just repeated what I just said twice.
You sure did.
That was fun. Tell me about my
Uh,
boy.
Anthony Edwards was suspended for a game due to getting his 16th tech of the season. He had 16 techs, he gets suspended. He also got fined 35K because he did not leave the court in a timely manner. Probably because he didn't think he deserved his technical. So,
Yeah.
doing some hullabaloo, doing a little too much, and just take some money from him, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember. Was this the Lakers game? Or because he also got ejected in the Lakers game because he got two technicals. Uh,
Um,
I think this happened after
oh,
because I remember the game after they lost to the Jazz because they didn't have him by. So I think I actually think since this happened, he got ejected from another game against the Lakers. Same thing. He like thought he got if I was fouled. No. You know what it was? He slipped and they didn't call a foul and they called a jump ball and he got upset. Anyways, come on, boy. Hey, that's my boy. Come
come
on.
on, boy. I don't know about that one.
Come on, man.
Feels racially
I
motivated.
meant like my boy. Come on, my boy. My
Okay,
son.
sure,
Oh
sure.
my God. Uh, so another friend of the pod, Bobby Portis, was suspended for 25 games for violating the league's anti-drug policy, testing positive for tramadol. I looked into this. So Bobby Portis's agent stated that Bobby took it accidentally, thinking it was the pain medication Toradol, which is not a banned substance.
Hmm.
Um, and a part of me thinks it is true because if I read it correctly, he like took it, didn't realize it, and then he told the team, "Hey, just so you know, like it's gonna show up because I accidentally took it."
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like he didn't just try to hide it. But anyways, I mean that's bad for the Bucks. But I mean they're kind of I haven't checked on them in a bit, but I think they're still doing all right in the East. They seem to be winning the games they should be winning at least. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
four right now.
this reminds me of.
They're tied with the
Go ahead.
Pacers. That's crazy. I didn't realize that. Pacers are doing well.
Yeah. This reminds me of when DeAndre Ayton was banned, if you remember, or not banned, suspended. It was like at the start of a couple of seasons ago, and he was still in the Suns. He was
Hmm.
suspended for 25 games for something similar, taking like a medication on accident.
Yeah,
I guess it's just like the default response, but yeah, it doesn't sound like it was on purpose or anything. So
yeah.
hopefully
Uh,
they survive without.
yeah, super unfortunate. Definitely he's a spark off the bench for them, but at least I mean, think about it, it's good rest for him, and then he'll come back in the playoffs. So
Yeah. Um, our podcasting friend Paul George no longer because he has announced the suspension or hiatus of Podcast P amidst the 76ers 8-game losing streak. He said this to work on his physical and mental conditioning. So, um, seems a little too late, for this announcement. I feel like it should have came sooner with how long they've been struggling. And there's some other 76ers news that we'll get to when we talk about injuries that's pretty unfortunate as well. Now it kind of seems like who cares anymore? It seems like if he was still doing it, I'd be like, okay. Um, but, that's good, I
no,
guess, that he's focusing on basketball because he's been pretty bad this season.
I mean, better late than never is all I would say to that. But
Hmm.
I mean, I don't. I wonder if there's really anyone out there who's like, oh man, no more podcast P for a little bit.
Everyone has
Uh,
their loyal listeners. We have
yeah,
we have three people that would be crushed if we stopped making this podcast.
it's very true. A fourth one maybe out there somewhere. Who knows?
Let us know who
Be
you
it
are.
could be you.
Dun dun dun.
Let's talk about some injury news. You kind of touched upon it a little bit. So, Domantas Sabonis is sidelined for about a week with a strained hamstring, and this happened during the Rockets game, Kings Rockets. I think that was over the weekend sometime. So he might be back for the game
I was gonna
Sunday that I'm
say, is
going
is he
to.
gonna be there?
Well, he'll be there because he's traveling with the team. So if
Hmm.
anything, if he's not playing, then he might actually have more time to just like hang out and talk with people. So we'll
That'd be
see.
neat.
Yeah. Regardless, I will be wearing my Pacers Sabonis jersey and taking my Valanciunas basketball card.
What
So we'll
about your
see.
Valanciunas shirt of him on the Pelicans, the team he's
You,
not on anymore?
yeah, I think the card might be a bit more valuable at this. Also, I don't have to wear like a shirt and a jersey, and you know what I mean. It's
You
just.
can wear it. You can wear the Valanciunas shirt like a cape, like tie the sleeves around your neck.
Dude, why didn't I think about that? What the dude?
It's
Yes,
genius.
you're a genius. Anyway, so I hope to see him.
Welcome. Yeah. Other injury news: Ariel Hukporti suffered a torn meniscus in his left knee. He's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks for the Knicks. He's been supplementing some center minutes for them because they've had center issues throughout the season. And this was actually his first start of the season. And he tore his meniscus, which again, one of those things you hear, it's like, that's a season-ending injury. Nope, only 4 to 6 weeks. So I guess it must have been a very like partial minor tear for it to not be longer than that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still a long time. But at least in next news, Mitchell Robinson made his season debut Friday,
He's back.
February 28th for the Knicks. So at least they finally have their starting center back.
It was supposed to be back in like January. Took your
I
ass long enough.
remember. Yeah.
Damn.
Finally, damn.
And other center news, a statement from Jeff Schwartz of XL Management. The saga is not over. Here's the quote.
Gosh.
The overwhelming sentiment, after confirming with multiple nationally recognized doctors, is that the Los Angeles Lakers should not have failed Mark Williams on his physical. End quote. So apparently, some shady business going on. The Lakers failing people that shouldn't be failed. Mark Williams is nice and healthy, according to Jeff Schwartz. I don't know who that is. I imagine I imagine he's Mark Williams' agent or something like that. And asked around, other doctors and stuff. But they're not giving up. They're not giving up that battle, even though it's way past the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, what is this gonna do now? I mean, the fact is the guy is still injury prone. Okay, maybe he could have passed the physical, but are they not concerned he might be injured? Look, they shouldn't have traded for him in the first place. So I'm not
They were
saying that
giving up a
it's
lot too.
yeah, so I wonder if it was cold feet, but I feel like it would be a little bit more than cold feet to just like
Yeah,
pull
that'd
up
be
the
crazy
rug.
to like fail someone on a physical because you're like, actually, I don't want to trade him, fail
Yeah, that would
him.
be a little I think that's a little too unbelievable, but the league is the league, and the Hornets are the Hornets, so they'll do what they want.
Those two things are true.
Yep. Bojan Bogdanovic will be out for the rest of the season due to a left foot injury. He last played for the Knicks in April of 2024 before having a first surgery, and now he's going to have a second surgery. Funnily enough, after they announced that he will be out for the season, the Nets waived him.
Yeah, what a brutal thing. He was included, in the Mikal Bridges trade over to the Knicks.
Hmm.
So yeah, he got injured in that playoff series and hasn't played since then.
I
Tough.
remember that. He came in for like 4 minutes
Yeah.
and then just like it was his hand. I thought it was his hand or something, or his arm. I
Apparently
don't
his
know.
foot had a surgery. He's rehabbing. I don't know what happened. Had some sort of setback.
Ah,
Now he
you
needs
heard
another
it
surgery.
again.
Yeah, terrible. Other news: Jalen Suggs underwent arthroscopic surgery to remove a cartilage fragment in his left knee and is out indefinitely. That doesn't sound good. So he was out already for I believe it was a heel injury, if I'm not mistaken. And he realized when he was hadn't played a game, he was practicing. He experienced some sort of discomfort in his foot. They had some further testing done, and then, or not in his foot, in his leg, and they had some further testing done, and then they were like, "Oh, actually, you have something going on here in your knee." So not ideal for Jalen Suggs. So he is out. I expect to make a full recovery at some point, but Magic have another big injury blow. They've had a couple this season.
Yeah, it's tough to see because the Magic, I mean, they were really gunning for like that top four spot, I feel like, at least in the East, and now it's just kind of slipping away. But better have it just a healthy season start again. And we'll talk more about that maybe a little bit later. Another team that maybe just, hey, call it. 76ers and Joel Embiid were consulting doctors and considering alternative options for his injured knee. Because his knee has been bothering him for months. He'll come in, go out. Treatments and injections have not prevented that swelling that's causing him that pain.
Yeah,
So,
and I want to say there was a word I didn't include when I typed this. They were looking for the quote was they were looking for radical solutions.
mm,
So I'm like I don't even know what that means. And like you said, he's been in and out. He only played 19 games this year.
that's actually crazy. And yeah, and he's been ruled out for the remainder of the season.
Yeah,
So I
tough blow.
really tough blow. 76ers need to call it, but I just hope he's because basketball is better when he's playing basketball. Yeah, his style of play isn't like our favorite. But the 76ers, they want to have any chance, he needs to be healthy. So hopefully he just gets better and he's 100%, and then we won't have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah, I think, I imagine him trying to play through some of these things is because of Paul George being on the team his first year with the team. Paul George being an aging quote unquote star player.
Mhm.
Um, you want to try to maximize his time there. But yeah, probably would have been better if he was shut down earlier because now the reporting, usually for something like I just mentioned with Jalen Suggs, is expected to make a full recovery. Not the case with Joel Embiid. No idea when he'll be back from something like this, but the timeline can be anywhere between 6 and 12 months for an injury this big and surgery this big. So, uh, you know, we'll see if he probably won't be available to start next season. Hopefully he's back soon. Hopefully Paul George can figure out how to play basketball again. And we call it a wash this season and try again next year. Just one of those seasons for the 76ers. Tough.
Yeah.
Crazily enough, not even the toughest blow to me that in the last week or so since we recorded. Victor Wembanyama out for the season. So clearly was going to be the runaway defensive player of the year. That is obviously no longer the case. He will not meet the games threshold. What I read is that he had a deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder. In simpler terms, he has a blood clot. Again, it was one of those things that experienced or felt, got testing, revealed it was a blood clot. Um, so that's the kind of thing you just have to stop all kind of activities, figure that out before you can really do anything. Have a couple of famous cases of this in the NBA. Of course, Chris Bosh, it kind of ended his career. He was kind of back and forth with blood clots for a bit, but he did end up retiring because of it. But then you also have like Asar Thompson, who got shut down at the end of last year, and now he's back and playing great for the Pistons. So, the outcomes are wide, but it's not expected to be career threatening or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm glad they found it sooner than later. This is only his second season. Spurs are looking really good. They just traded for De'Aaron Fox. He's still going to be there. It's fine. Just get him healthy, get him good, get ready for next season, and
Get him
then make a
good.
run for the play-in. You know.
Yeah.
Um, but more unfortunate news for the Spurs. Can't talk about the Spurs without talking about legendary head coach Greg Popovich.
Been coaching them my
Um,
whole life.
our whole yeah, actually our whole lives, which is crazy. And unfortunately, he will not return to coach the Spurs this season, and his future in the NBA is uncertain. He had a mild stroke back in November and met with the team for the first time since then to deliver the news. So, I'm glad he's taking his health as first priority. I would love to see him again on that Spurs bench. It does not look the same without him there, but his health matters the most. So hopefully he's back, and if not, I hope he can, maybe be some part of the Spurs um time, because he signed like a what was like a 6 year
6 year,
extra,
yeah.
yeah. So would be it would just be suck to see that it wasn't even his choice that he couldn't coach anymore. That's, I think, the hardest part. Hopefully he's back sooner than later. Get
Yeah.
well soon, Greg
Get
Popovich.
well, Pop. I know you mentioned also something like Mitch Johnson, who t has taken over since then, has been doing a good job. You trust him and all that. So
Hmm.
stuff you have to say. But yeah, hope Pop is better soon.
Absolutely.
Moving on to a different Texas team.
All
The
right.
Rockets. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the Rockets for a little bit.
Tell me about those them boys.
Yeah, so we're 37 and 23, fifth in the West right now, which I think is the lowest seeding wise we've been since the first couple of days of the season. Um, Unfortunate. Some of it is because we've struggled a little bit. Some of it is because some other teams are doing quite nice for themselves. A lot of win streaks going on in the top of the Western Conference right now, and I'm sure you'll probably tell me about some of those teams here in a bit. Um, but we are 3-3 since returning from All-Star break. Four of our six games have been parts of back-to-backs. I'm going to always point that out. The amount of back-to-backs we play is crazy. I feel like half of our games have been back-to-backs at least. Um, some news for us: we waived Cody Zeller. He didn't last long in the Rockets uni. I doubt you can find the Zeller jersey somewhere. It's probably not out there.
Dude,
But
next
yeah,
time
go ahead.
I go to a Rockets game, I go to the sales rounder, and there's always old jerseys. There
Yeah,
better be a Zella. There
there will
better
not
be
be.
a Zella.
There will absolutely not be.
I'll be looking.
Um,
I'll be looking.
we converted Nate Williams to a standard 4 year, $8.2 million deal. So he's been on our G League roster, averaging like 19 points, I want to say. And I guess the Rockets were like, you know what, we want to secure this guy long term. So bye bye,
An
Cody Zeller.
Another 4 year, $8.2 million contract. What
It's
is
like
happening?
it's like a long term minimum, basically. For those two-way guys that they don't want to have a two-way contract, they want actual money. And this time of the year, you have to convert someone like this if you want them to be on your playoff roster or on your roster next year.
Yeah.
So that's why we have a lot of these conversions that we just talked about.
No, yeah, that makes total sense.
And then also Jabari came back first game after All-Star break. He's played every game so far. He played 38 minutes in his first game back, so um, I guess he's good. He didn't start, but he did play 38 minutes, and
Welcome
he's
back,
kind of
Jabari.
wavered in and out of the starting lineup. It's been interesting. But worth noting, Amin Thompson, he seems to be a starter on this team, even with Jabari back. Some of the games Jabari started, so did Amin. Some of the games he was on the bench, Amin was still starting. We've had just like random guys out here and there. Like Amin was starting with Jalen Green, and then Fred VanVleet came back, and it was Fred, Jalen Green, Amin Thompson, Dylan Brooks, and Shingu. It's like our starting five. So
Hmm.
doesn't seem to matter. It looks like he will be in the starting lineup regardless, and I'm excited to see that because he's had an awesome season. And it's probably the most exciting Rocket in terms of our future. So it's
Yeah, I mean,
happening.
I've been watching a lot of more Rockets than I have been lately, and Amin Thompson is very impressive. And also, it's very interesting to see all of the commentators talking about how everyone's noticing how impressive he is.
Hmm.
Very athletic, great on defense, getting better offensively, and I just love the way he plays. Very aggressive, getting those rebounds and never giving up on the defensive side of the ball. Very cool to see. Did you see that? Or I just look at it because the Rockets played the Thunder today.
Hmm.
That Dylan Brooks, Şengün, and Amin Thompson were out.
I knew that Amin Thompson and Shingun were out. I don't pay attention to Dylan Brooks,
Yeah, I mean, I
but
wouldn't either. I just thought it was. I was like wondering why Reed Shepherd started at point guard.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah. It
actually did
was a
really
weird,
well.
weird day. A weird day for the Rockets.
Yeah, I wish I could say he did 28 and 21 and 8, but it was 25, 2 and 5. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty dang good.
I think we
Uh,
just, we were like, you know what? We'll just take the L here. We'll just take the loss for the Thunder.
yeah, I mean, it is the Thunder after all. Usually, I mean, the Rockets do play those games against the Thunder are usually really close, which is really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I guess now we're gonna kind of convert to our segment. We're gonna
Segment
we're gonna
time.
we're gonna talk about some teams to watch down the stretch. I have the West, and we're going to do five. So we got five on the West, five on the East. I have the
I did
West.
the East. Dom did the West. We're looking at five teams down the stretch. Now,
Thank
I don't
you.
know what this means to Dom. I would understand if it meant that he did five teams that are, looking at the playoffs. That would make sense. That's not necessarily what I did. Um, I will point out, we will soon have a podcast guest, our first ever, and he is going to talk about the Detroit Pistons. So that is not one of my five teams. I specifically avoided it for this reason. I definitely would have talked about them though, if not, because
Yeah.
they're definitely a team to look at. So just want everyone to know that I'm not doing it because I don't think to watch it. It's because we're going to get to them later.
Yeah, we're not ignoring the Pistons. I've been watching the Pistons a lot. They're very fun to watch. I can't wait to see them Wednesday. All right. Well, I guess I'll start with the West.
Let's do it.
I'll start with, you guessed it, my Los Angeles Lakers.
I figured
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. They're the two seed.
the
Can we
two
just let
seed
that sit for a second? No, I'm kidding.
just
Crazy.
sit at a moment of silence.
Two sits on three. One, two sits
Um,
in solemn silence.
Go ahead and
Unable.
pause the podcast, and we'll be back with you in 5 seconds. So pause right now. Okay, welcome
Okay,
back. Thanks
and
for
we're
pausing
back.
for
We
those
did it.
5 seconds.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We got it out of the way. Anyway, so the Los Angeles Lakers are the two seed. They are 8-2 in their last 10. Current 6 game win streak. I'm going to go over the last few teams that they've played. I just going to have some notes
Sure.
about these games. So back in February on the 19th, the Lakers lost to the Hornets by 3. Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball had really good games. This was tough because this was like the second game after Luka's debut, and obviously you could tell Luka was trying to still fit into that offense. So, I didn't think too much of it. It was 3 points. It happens. Lakers then beat the Trailblazers next without Luka,
Mhm.
and it was an 8 point win. It was not really that close. So that was a good sign. And then Luca is back playing against the Nuggets. So the Nuggets are our team we just cannot find a way to beat for whatever
I've been
reason.
looking very good lately.
And we beat them by 23 points.
Dang.
We blew them out. Luka looked a lot like himself. He had a stat line 32 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. LeBron had 25, 9, and 5. Austin Rivers, oh my God, why did I say that? Austin
Austin
Reeves,
Rivers, legendary.
that's crazy. I didn't even watch him like
You
that.
wish. You wish it was
I
Austin
wish.
Rivers.
Austin Reeves had 23, 4, and 7, and then Rui Hachimura had 21 points and 4 assists. So very balanced. Luka had 30, but like a lot of 20-point games from our starters. And our bench has done very well. I think a big part of this, why we're doing so well, is also since the trade deadline, we've had the number one defense in the league.
Uh-oh. Frank Vogel, is that you? Did you sneak your way back in there?
Hey, it's me, Frank Vogel.
Why is he a Sesame Street character?
Hi, it's me. He's
It's
just
Frank.
he's he's on the bench with a ski mask, like I'm not Frank Vogel, but I know what to do. No, Jared Vanderbilt's been back. He's been playing really well defensively. We have Dorian Finney-Smith. Gabe Vincent's been playing really well on the defensive side. We've kept all opponents under 102 in like the last 10 games, which is
That's
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
wild.
so beat the Nuggets, which was great. Next, we beat the Mavericks, which I thought was interesting. Everyone was calling it Luka's revenge game.
It was
I
in
was like,
LA
it was in LA, and I don't like why is he vengeful? I mean, I know he's
because they traded him because they're like, you're dumb and don't work hard. We hate you.
I know, but it was not like why take it out on anyways. I don't know. To me, it wasn't like a revenge game, but Luka played really well. He had a triple double. LeBron had a fourth quarter takeover. And it is worth mentioning that the Mavericks are without Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, and Derek Lively.
Yeah, they got about zero centers over there.
Yeah, so they were going against like Dwight Powell. So and playing PJ at the five. So um, not a lot of size over there. They still were getting quite a bit of offensive rebounds, and LeBron had to kind of take over to win. But we got the win, and then the Lakers beat the Timberwolves, and then the Lakers beat the Clippers twice, which is very nice to see. And
The Battle of LA.
Battle of LA, the war is won.
The
The
battle's
war is
over.
won. Battle's over. War is
No
won.
battle. It was a massacre.
Yeah, and 8-2, like I said in the last 10. I did look this up though. I'm going to mention this for most of the teams.
Mention it.
I looked up toughest schedules ahead,
Mm.
and the Lakers have the third toughest schedule. So,
Mm.
we'll see if they're able to keep that two seed. I have a feeling they'll slip a little bit. But right now, as a Lakers fan, I'm just very happy that is starting to look very comfortable in a Lakers jersey. And we beat the Clippers even without I didn't mention Austin Reeves and Rui. They were just they had to sit out just a little injury rest type thing and still won. Still got the win. So it's
A
very cool to
W.
see.
That's what matters.
As a Lakers fan, I'm very excited.
As you
And
should be.
thank you. Yeah, and also four in the ESPN Power Rankings, but those are dumb. I hate the ESPN Power Rankings. If a
They're
team wins like three,
fluctuating like crazy.
yeah, if a team wins three in a row, they'll be like, "Oh my God, they're like the best team in the league."
Yeah,
Um,
pretty good.
Anywho, so tell me about a Nice team.
I will, but first I need to bring up a couple things that I screenshotted at work and I forgot to put in the pod notes.
Okay, tell me.
Um, David Roddy, remember big body David Roddy?
Yeah.
We signed him to a two-way, the Rockets.
Oh,
I
okay.
totally forgot to mention that. So yeah, a couple more two ways. Marjon Beauchamp, who we
Okay.
talked about before, former Bucks first round pick, signed a two-way with the Knicks.
Okay.
Ryan Rollins signed a two-way. I'm sorry, the Bucks are converting his two-way, so now he's like a real player for them.
Cool.
And then the most important news I forgot, which is so funny because Shams posted it. Here's I'm gonna just read the post verbatim.
Okay.
Update on the three-peat NBA dunk contest champion Mac McClung broke his right thumb out for the Orlando Magic G League. It's so funny the way it's reported. And it's funny because the way he reported it is he like replied to his tweet about Mac McClung being the three-time dunk champion to say like he broke his thumb. like weeks later. This is
I
just
feel like
funny.
I wonder if it's because they're like, I want people to know who he is. Like, we know his name now. Like,
Yeah,
it's pretty. If you're an NBA fan, you know the name Mac McClung.
he broke his thumb. Shut up, Mac.
Oh,
Um,
shout out Mac.
okay, I don't like picking, and I did this in an order, but like not really. So I would like you to give me a number 1 to 5, and I'll just do the team associated with that number.
Okay, four.
4. All right. Let's talk about the Indiana Pacers.
Let's do
Dun, dun,
it.
dun. Yeah, so like you mentioned earlier, they're currently fifth, 34 and 25, tied with the Bucks, who are also 34 and 25 at the 4 seed. And it's, I wrote quietly. They're quietly sitting right there. I feel like we talked about them mostly at the beginning of the season. They had a very rough start. Tyrese Halliburton looked pretty bad coming off of the playoffs, in which he kind of struggled there at the end, and then the Olympics he didn't play, and then he didn't look very good to start the season. And I feel like we haven't talked about him that much since then. But he's gotten back on track. Siakam has been very good for them as well. He was an all-star this year, but even that felt kind of quiet. He's not a flashy all-star, but he's going out there getting 27 and 6 every game, whatever, playing good defense as he does. He's just been kind of their rock this season. Um, the thing that has been kind of the biggest question mark down the stretch is their backup center position. Because Miles Turner has been good all season in terms of his offense. His defense is kind of lacking what it used to be. But um, Isaiah Jackson out for the season. We talked about that. James Wiseman tore his ACL. He's out for the season. I don't even know if he's on the roster. I think they may have waived him after that happened. Yeah, which is crazy. Traded for Thomas Bryant. He hasn't been very good. They almost signed Alex Lynn, but then he went to the Lakers. They had Moses Brown on a 10-day contract before he went to the Mavericks. So they just are going all over the place, scrambling for backup center because they don't really have one that's good. And you don't really want to run like Obi Toppin at the 5 unless you're really like running and transition as your game plan. So, coming into the playoffs, I wonder kind of what their backup big man solution will be because right
Yeah.
now they don't really have one. And then another thing I kind of wanted to talk about is, who's gonna kind of step up and grow for them this year. I think last year, Halliburton was pretty good, Siakam was pretty good. Andrew Nembhard had a couple big playoff games. Ben Shepherd had like randomly was important for them. Is like Jarris Walker going to pop a little this year? Is he going to play more in the postseason? Benedict Mathurin, I feel like he's been pretty like under the radar all season. Kind of just interested to see who's going to like make a name for themselves in their postseason run. Is it just a fluke? Are they going to get knocked out in 5 games in the first round after going to the Eastern Conference Finals last year? I just think they have a lot of possibilities, and that's kind of a theme for my list. I have a range of possibilities, or like possibilities that I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like there's some teams, like a spoiler, I don't have the Celtics on my list. Why? Because they're the same team as last year, and I think they're going to be really good, and they're probably at least going to make the conference finals. And
Yeah.
like that's not like exciting. We already know what's going to happen there. But the teams I chose, I think, have a lot of variety in what could happen, and the Pacers are one of those.
Cool. I like that pick a lot. I feel like when we do these, you get so much more in depth about it, but I feel like mine are conversations. Let's put it that way. Um,
It's
but
not a
I like that.
competition, man.
Oh no, I know I no, I know it's not. No, I know it's not.
Oh,
No,
I
it's
swear.
just I was just like looking up and like reading about these teams, and I was like, I these are my thoughts about them. I think they're the ones to watch. And you mentioned earlier, not necessarily that these are going to be teams that are going to make it into the playoffs. Just like interesting to watch down the stretch. These teams that I'm talking about are pretty much. I think all of these are going to make the playoffs. At least play in, like top 10 at least, There's a
Mhm.
couple teams I'm not going to I just think are totally out of contention, but we we'll get there at the end. I also have no particular order, but I picked next Dallas Mavericks.
Mm.
And the reason why
Mm.
I did that, they're very interesting right now because um they just lost by like 30 to the Kings. Um, and I made all these notes before, the game today. Kyrie Irving went out with an injury in the first quarter. Is Kyrie Irving going to be out for a bit? Not a long time.
That would
I
be
don't know.
problematic.
That's changes a lot of what this not a lot I was going to talk about, but I mean changes a lot of what I think the success of this season could mean for the Dallas Mavericks. So
Yeah.
obviously, um, once all the big men return, I think they're going to be a very scary team to face in the playoffs. They have a lot of size, which you talked about. That means a lot of rebounding. They have offense with Kyrie Irving. I like how well Najee Marshall has been playing for them. He had a really good game today, even though they lost. He was sparking offense, which was very cool to see. And also, what they do have going for them is that they have the 17th toughest or like 15th easiest. So like basically in the middle of the schedule up ahead. So
Yeah.
right now they are currently on a two-game losing streak and they're like the 10th seed. But the thing is everyone below them, I don't see the Phoenix Suns turning the season around. It seems like something they've lost something there. Like it's just they got rid of Nurkic, they got Nick Richards. It's still not clicking. Something's off there. Portland's been playing really well. And I'm sure that was one team maybe I was going to talk about, but I watched them yesterday and they didn't play super well. So I'm not convinced.
You're like, oh,
Basically,
okay.
it just didn't convince me. I think they don't have a lot of experience. I like a lot of their players a lot. Tumani Kamara, Denny Avdia is playing really well. Shaden Sharp also having a great season. But I don't think they're. I think the Dallas Mavericks experience will help them keep them in the playing conversation. Um, but they are an interesting team to watch because if Kyrie's out, then it's like, who are you? Who's running the show there? They don't have Quentin Grimes anymore. Um, Clay Thompson's not really a creator. You guess Jaden Hardy, but guess what? He also is out with an injury. Um, so injury bug
Hey,
is hurting them
remember
pretty
Quentin
bad.
Grimes?
I just
Remember
said
he was on
Quentin
that roster?
Grimes.
He's not on
You
that
didn't,
roster anymore.
I said he wasn't on the. I said that like 10 seconds ago.
I know. He scored 44. That's what I was gonna
Oh yeah. Against the 70s.
say.
Yeah. Against the
Yeah.
Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was yeah. He did. Yeah, he did. Would be pretty sick to have right now. Anywho, so that was my pick. Also, side note, Dallas Mavericks raised their ticket prices.
Oh, Anthony
They,
Davis injured? Yeah, more expensive.
yeah, another
We
more
know you
expensive.
want to see Dwight Powell.
Anywho, so it's a Spencer Dinwiddie show right now, and that's fine.
Woo! Dallas, this is for you.
This is for you. All right, tell me about another team in the East.
Give me a number.
Oh, two.
Two. Let me talk to you about Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. Yeah, currently the eighth seed, 9-33, which is pretty low. I mentioned earlier the Suggs injury, and yeah, it's tough. I would like you to guess how many minutes have Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, and Paolo Banchero spent on the court together this season
Total.
total.
I'd say like maybe 200.
It's a good guess. 97. Um,
Only 97?
only
That's like
97
two
minutes.
games.
Yeah,
Jeez,
that's
that's
not very
crazy.
good.
No. Mm-mm.
It's hard to win, you know. It's hard to win when your best three
I love the
players
beat. Thank you for taking a beat.
only only play that long. Yeah, I was like trying to think, and I was like, wait, I'm on a podcast. I gotta speak. Um, I was like, hold on, I can't just sit here in silence. Actually,
Funny.
so yeah, it's tough. You know, Paolo injured at the um beginning of the season after having such a rock solid start, and he hasn't been great since coming back. He has not been nearly the player he was at the start of the season. He's been fine, but he hasn't been like, oh, he's taken that, that leap that he looked like he was taking at the start of the season. So he's been struggling a little bit. Franz has been pretty good since coming back from his injury. He's still having a nice solid season. And then yeah, Suggs, I mean, it's hard. He's been kind of in and out of the lineup. He's kind of that defensive identity for them and at the point of attack as the defender there. And the other guys don't really play a ton in terms of like John Isaac and those other like really good defenders on their roster. So they're kind of in an identity crisis. Other people that have been struggling. KCP, man, he's had a bad season for the Magic. He was supposed to be their 3 and D, their solution to the spacing problems, but also he contributes to that defensive identity, and he hasn't really done either of those things. Shooting pretty poorly, and looking older in the shoes over there. So
Mm,
it's tough, tough from that perspective. We both really like KCP, and then they just have a couple guys on their team that like I don't know what they do. Um, like I'm watching Wendell Carter, and I'm like, what's Wendell Carter doing out there? I don't really know. Like, is he contributing to winning? I'm not sure. It feels like at times they're better with Goga Bitadze, and it's like that's weird. That shouldn't be the case, I think.
I was about to say, starting center Goga Batadze.
Yeah, Mo Wagner, of course, injured for the season too. Lots
Yeah,
of injuries for the squad. Jet Howard, is he ever going to play? That would be cool. Anthony Black has looked pretty good for them when he hasn't got that much opportunity, but when he does look pretty good. Yeah, there's got a bunch of guys out there, and I don't really know who's doing what and
yeah,
like what their identity is. And I feel like their spacing is becoming more of an issue as the season goes on, and as their kind of defensive identity that they've been priding themselves on seems to kind of slip further and further in the cracks. So will they bounce back? If so, how much? I think going into the season, we both could see, like a really heavily contested second round exit for this team. Right now, you know, they could get knocked out of the play-in. So we'll see. Hopefully they can turn it around because I think this team, I like their pieces and I like what they have going. They're just struggle busting it right now.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I haven't watched a lot of Magic basketball, and it's really tough to you know, play the basketball, the brand of basketball that got you, to game seven against the Cavaliers last year when your engine in Jalen Suggs is, you know, out now for sure, for good. We'll see. I'm interested. I'm curious to see what they'll end up doing, or how well they'll do in the playoffs, or if they make it. It'd be wild because then that means that the Brooklyn Nets would make it, and that's crazy. The play-in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My next team,
Let's hear it.
Sacramento
Oh,
Kings.
the Kingies.
The reason why I mentioned them is it's very interesting. So got rid of Mike Brown, trade De'Aaron Fox. They went on a little win streak with Doug Christie, then they went on a losing streak. And they're kind of back on a win streak. They won four in a row, including today, and they looked very good. Zach LaVine, they finally looked like they were finding their stride after the deadline with getting Zach LaVine on the team. DeMar DeRozan looks more or less comfortable. I think the fact that they've played together. I remember I watched some of the first games with Zach LaVine on the Kings, and he was just like bumping into players because he was like, I don't know this offense. I'm like just trying. I'm just trying out here. It looks a lot better, a lot smoother now. It is unfortunate with Sabonis out. This does change a little bit how I think how far they can go, but he's just going to be out for a few days, hopefully. Valanciunas has looked good when he's starting though, so that's great that they. And I was
Replace one
complaining.
Lithuanian with another.
Yeah, I was complaining. It's like, oh, we have Valanciunas is now just a bench warmer, but if someone else is out, he's a really Valanciunas is a starting worthy center in this league. So I'm glad that he gets to start for them. And but there's only one hiccup, and the one hiccup is they are projected to have the second toughest schedule in the league. So
Oh,
um,
yikes
yeah,
on bikes.
and there's some other teams I'm going to talk about that I think are kind of fighting their way up. So I think Kings may slip a bit, but I think they'll be in the play-in for sure at least.
Yeah.
But I'll save the next two teams for my next time.
Oh, give me one, three, or
Oh,
five.
I'm gonna go with three.
Three. Let's talk about the Miami Heat.
Let's talk
Uh,
about it.
They are the seventh seed currently, 28 and 31. They've been surprisingly respectable since the Jimmy Butler trade. I thought they were really going to have a fall off. I know he had not been playing that much for them with all the chaos and stuff going on this season, but I just didn't think like, oh, you got Wiggins and like Davion Mitchell. Oh, this is going to be an awesome team now. Like, that's not the thought that passed through my mind. they've been in close games, whether they win or lose. What feels like every time they play. A couple things I did want to point out. Bam, where did you go, Bam? Mr. Bam was on the Olympic team. Um, and I feel like for 2 years, maybe even 3 years, I'm waiting for the Bam Adebayo offensive jump for the aggressiveness. He's been known to be their playmaker from the elbow, right? But not he's not demanding the ball enough. He's not touching the ball enough on possessions, whether that's a him thing, a scheme thing, whatever. I just feel like, as their best or second best player, whatever you want to say, he just needs to have the ball more on offense. He's a great defender, a versatile defender. But I think he just needs to contribute on the other end more. And then Khalil Ware has been nice though for them, rookie. He's been pretty solid for them all season, kind of going along with Bam as a weird kind of double big combo they got going on there. So that's nice to see. Tyler Hero was an all-star this year, kind of taking over the scoring punch for them. So they do have some bright spots here and there. They're just kind of a weird like mosh posh of role players and young guys right now. They don't really feel like they have like a guy. And I'm kind of just curious, what's next for the team overall? They're a 7 seed, right? And the East is kind of weak at the bottom, so I don't foresee them falling out of this play-in race for sure. I imagine they will, being the Miami Heat, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, they will probably try to get into the playoffs, even as a 7 or 8 seed. And then they'll get eliminated pretty early, I would bet. But what then? What like are you turning the team over to Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and trying to figure it out with them? Are you trading the young guys for star players, or are you going the opposite direction and going totally young, getting rid of Tyler Hero, Bam, and building around like Jaime and Khalil Ware and Jovic and those guys? I don't know. I have no idea what this team is going to do because I feel like Pat Riley is one of those guys that like is always going to compete regardless. But they clearly don't have the talent to do so at like a championship level. So I'm just interested to see kind of what happens for this team over the next couple of years as we get away from the, Jimmy Butler somehow carrying them to the finals two times in like the last 5 years. I just don't know what it's going to look like. I'm no idea.
It's a really good point. I mean, they also have like no picks, you
Right.
know? So it's like, oh, I want young guys. Like, okay, where are these young guys coming from? So, I guess you're going to be trading for picks, which to me, I mean, to me, that seems like the next logical move. Okay.
They're not always
You were
logical over in the
competing.
NBA.
Yeah, oh, I mean, yeah, of course. And also, I mean, even with the Heat, like you said, like they want to win now. They're not going to I mean, I can't remember the last time the Heat were in a rebuild.
Right.
Yeah, I actually can't. So, this is an interesting time for them for sure. I'm glad that they were able to move on from Jimmy Butler, but it'll be interesting to see. Another team that I think has been pretty interesting, and
Yes.
also has I think a chance to kind of fight up in the standings to make a push. The Minnesota Timberwolves. So they
Mhm.
struggled a lot in the beginning of this year. Don't want to name names. Julius Randle. Their
Out for
spacing.
personal reasons for a while there, so I don't know what was going on. But
Yeah, I don't know either. He's back. He's back now. But I was going to say that when he was out, and also Gobert's been out since February,
yeah.
with a back thing. Since they've been out, their spacing has looked really good.
Whoa.
Spacing's really
Ooh, guys, they
improved.
can't shoot.
Yeah, and they're
Hmm.
out. That's crazy.
Suspicious.
Yeah, they're winning games. Especially when Anthony Edwards is playing and not suspended or ejected.
Right.
And I've been watching them a little bit. They have this one young guy. Is it Shannon? He lit up the Lakers. God, I can't remember his name. Um,
Um, Shannon?
Shannon. I feel
Shannon.
like. Oh gosh. Oh geez. Oh yeah, Terrence Shannon. Terrence Shannon
Terrence Shannon
Jr.
Jr. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He scored like 26 on the Lakers.
Very
And
nice.
he played very, very well. So it's really cool to see him. Rob Dillingham's getting minutes. Dante DiVincenzo is back, no longer in a boot. He's been looking really good. And
Vincenzo.
and also they have the second easiest, third easiest
Oh,
schedule ahead. So,
Yummy, yummy.
and also I didn't even like really define what toughest or easiest schedule means in the beginning. What that means is that they are playing teams that are lower in the standings than like higher in the standings.
You got an easy
So
schedule because you're playing the Wizards and then the Jazz. Congratulations.
exactly. So things like that. More for the listener than you, obviously. I know you know what that means.
I had no
Um,
idea. Thank you for telling me. I've been wondering this whole time. I just sitting there like,
why do
what
you
is this
wait?
guy
What is it?
talking about?
What the hell is the toughest schedule? What does that mean? So I think, right now they're 33-29. They're sitting at the ninth seed. And what's crazy? Golden State. The Golden State Warriors are the sixth seed, 33 and 28.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
lot
a
of
lot of room. A lot of room.
compactness over there in that Eastern Conference. I mean that Western
Western,
Conference.
Western
That's the
Conference, the
wrong.
other confidence.
That's the I. There's only two options, and I got
Yeah,
it wrong.
yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, I kind of go over at the end how I think the playoffs might kind of shake down at the end, but I think Timberwolves have a really good chance of pushing for a locked in playoff spot.
Here's to hope. We like the Timberwolves in this podcast.
Yes, we do.
All right. Would you like me to do number one or number five?
Number five.
Let's do number five. This is where I have maybe an maybe the most obvious team on the list in terms of the five teams I chose. I have the Cavs, the Cleveland Cavaliers, currently with the number one record in the NBA, 50 and 10. Um, Now here's why I have them though. Everything's clicking, obviously, 50 and 10. They just had this crazy comeback against the Celtics, down 25-3 in the first quarter, and they won that game. Nuts in Boston. It looked over when Jason Tatum hit that three or whatever to put them up by 22 early on. But they came back and won, and this is the kind of team they've been all year. They've played everyone with ferocity. They've looked super good. My question, does this happen in the playoffs, or to quote Jared Allen, will the lights be too bright, as what happened to them before? So they barely scraped by the Magic last year, who I think we both respect, but um, I think the Cavs clearly had the talent over them in that matchup, and they beat them in seven, and then they kind of got wiped by the Celtics, who did win the championship. So it's not like you know, like oh my God, they lost to this team. Um, but that being said, new coach Kenny Atkinson probably a front runner for Coach of the Year with how they're looking right now. Um, how does Donovan Mitchell look in the playoffs? Darius Garland, he's been playing great this season compared to last season. Is that going to continue? How are teams going to scheme differently against them? How are the Celtics going to scheme against the Cavs when they have a whole seven-game series to do so? And to make Donovan Mitchell uncomfortable, to make Darius Garland uncomfortable. Things that I don't know if they've been exposed to enough in the regular season, because they are playing so well. You know, um, Evan Mobley has had a great season. He has been probably he's going to be in this Defensive Player of the Year running now that Wemby is out, because he's been that good on defense, and his offense has come around too. His shot has come around a little bit. He's spacing the floor more than he has in years past. Does that continue in the playoffs, or is it going to be like how it has been for like Isaac Okoro when teams are like, yeah, let him shoot, and then he can't hit it. So things like that. I just wonder if these will continue in the playoffs when teams are specifically scheming, probably first against Donovan Mitchell because he's really their only player with a lot of playoff experience, and then kind of let the other guys beat them. When you get against teams like the Celtics or even like the Bucks, the Knicks, these teams that have some players with some real playoff experience on them. I just kind of wonder, will the Cavs live up to this 50 and 10 regular season they're having? And then lastly, I do want to point out somebody I've mentioned on this pod before and our breakout players. Ty Jerome, the guy's going to win Sixth Man of the Year. He's even better than when I talked about him way early in the season. So, I got to pat myself on the back for that one. Ty Jerome, I've been watching. We've been watching you. Got the
Um,
binoculars.
Besides Ty Jerome, I also do want to shout out because I did watch the Cavaliers play yesterday.
Hmm.
Um, DeAndre Hunter looks really good. He
Yeah.
looks very, very good for them. That trade is looking very good for them. And you mentioned Ty Jerome. Yeah, yesterday, so Donovan Mitchell was out. Darius Garland was in. Off night, he could not make a bucket for to save his
Davion
life.
Mitchell?
No, no, no. And Ty Jerome comes off the bench, sparks the offense. Darius Garland, what does he do? Starts assisting more, you know?
Mhm.
Everyone else is making the shots. Isaac Okoro is making corner threes. DeAndre Hunter is making the threes he's supposed to on the wing. They look really good. I do agree that, you know, they lack that experience that other teams kind of have. But I really can't wait to see what they do in the playoffs. They're a really fun team to watch too.
Yeah.
My last team on the
Your fifth
West,
and final.
my fifth and final, may not be a surprise to some people who are watching the West. It's the Golden State Warriors.
The Warriors.
And the reason why I'm talking about them is because in the last 10 games, they are 7-3.
Yeah,
Uh,
they look good.
they look really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, so since acquiring Jimmy Butler, Warriors seem like they have like a renewed passion for winning. I wonder if they're kind of like, this is our last chance almost.
Right. Little final
Uh,
hoorah.
a little, yeah, exactly. Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green playing on the court together. Actually, their plus minus matches up really nicely together, and they've been playing really well together. Steph Curry's doing Steph Curry things. They did lose to the 76ers because of a crazy Quentin Grimes game.
Yeah.
But before that, I mean, they've been on a roll. And yeah, they are 33 and 28, and there's a lot of teams kind of in the mix, but the feeling they might kind of sit there, go down a little bit. But definitely going to be making the playoffs, and how far they go, I don't know. They are on the older side. Their stars are Um, at least Pods is looking better. He's
Yeah.
looking a little bit better for them, which helps out. They still have Trace Jackson Davis. I don't say Junior. No, it's Trace
Trace
Jackson Davis.
Jackson Jr.
Yeah. Kaminga, I haven't really caught up with. Do you know? Is he doing
He's been
better?
out. He's been out for a minute.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I don't know.
interesting.
I don't know what he's doing. Get off the
As
couch. Come on.
Come on, come play a game. Anyways, and also looking forward, they have the 16th toughest schedule, so it's like in the middle of the pack. So,
Yeah.
I don't anticipate, like I said, a lot of movement happening in the West. I think if I had to guess, I think the Clippers are going to fall a bit more. I don't I
Surprised you didn't bring the Clippers up, man. They're killing it.
No, they're not.
They're killing it.
No, they're not. Um, when I watch the Clippers, they just don't. They're not play. Well, Norman Powell's been out, so I think that I haven't played in a few games. I think that
Your Clippers passion gone with Norman Powell out.
well, honestly, I mean, he's the best part of the team. James Harden, boring. Kawhi Leonard, not the same. Um,
It's just not the same.
oh, hey,
Don't
cool
copyright
shout
me.
out. Okay, fine, I won't. But yeah, I mean, without Norman Powell on the court, and also Derrick Jones Jr. was out as well. It just seems like these guys aren't playing with passion. They seem old. They seem slow.
Oh,
Um, you know,
God, brutal.
I'm just saying. I look. The Lakers are good. They're not like that good, and they also are missing pieces, and they just couldn't win a game. James Harden in the two games against the Lakers, he was 5 of 36. I'm pretty sure, something like that. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Not good.
That's an
Um,
all-star right there.
yeah, right, really, yeah. All star. Norman
We
Powell should have been an all
we
star.
fought for you, Norman Powell. We did.
We
We put
sure
in.
did. We sure did every time for you. But yeah, I back to the Warriors. I think they will be definitely in the playoffs, making a push for it. I have you watched a game with Jimmy Butler? I have unfortunately have not caught a game yet.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit here and there. I'm sad to see the Warriors' success.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like it. It's weird because I don't think I consider myself like a Steph hater, but man, the Warriors succeed, and I just become sad.
I
I don't
don't
know.
think it's not about Steph. It's about the war. Like it's the
Yeah,
because we've been on the pod long enough. I don't think we're not Steph Curry haters. We actually respect the hell out of him for sure
yeah,
as a player. It's just when a team wins 4 championships in like 6 years, it's like I don't want to root for you anymore for a while.
yeah.
You know?
It's like the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly like that. It's like I hate Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelsey or like
I was
any
gonna
of the
say, how many Chiefs
players.
can you name? Chris
I
Jones.
I mean, the only other one I could have named is on the Dolphins. So, you know.
The only other football player you could. Oh, Tyreek
No,
Hill.
for the Chiefs, Tyreek Hill.
It's
Yeah,
like,
no, I can name other football players, but not
it's
that
like
many more.
that's
Not a
crazy.
lot. But anywho, yeah, so, we'll see what happens in the West. But those are my five teams to watch down the stretch.
Watch them. You heard it here. Watch those five Western Conference teams. Name them all for us again.
Specifically the Lakers. It's going to be the Lakers, the Mavericks, the Kings, the Timberwolves, and the Warriors. And the reason, again, like just to sum up these five, I think these have there's also kind of a disparity. It could go one way or another. And I think a lot
Yeah.
of it can be injuries as well and schedule. So they're also very fun teams to watch.
Yeah. My final team, my
Number
fifth
one.
team, number one on my list. You guessed it, the Brooklyn Nets.
Wow. I thought it was going to be the Bulls.
Thought it was going to be the Bulls. Nah, I'm so tired of talking about the Bulls. Don't watch the Bulls. Jesus
That's
Christ.
I honestly
Sick of
I
them.
just forgot that you just
Um,
hate them.
the Nets, they currently have the sixth worst record in the NBA. So that's good. They, of course, made the big brain move to trade for their own picks back from my Rockets in exchange for the Suns picks, which I'm sure we're going to try to use to get Kevin Durant this offseason. Because he apparently wants out of Phoenix. That's been like a whole new storyline we haven't really talked about that much, but who cares?
Yeah.
Um, they sold to some extent, they sold Mikhail for like a big package in the offseason. That was really good. They traded Schroeder for like nothing. They traded Dorian Finney-Smith. They got D'Lo. I feel like they could have maybe also traded D'Lo again, but they still have him on the roster. They still have Cam Johnson. I thought was going to get moved. Cam Thomas, I knew wasn't going to get moved because he'd been injured at the time. But he's not like a great player. He's probably like in my ideal team, like a sixth man, scorer off the bench, Jordan Clarkson type of guy. Um,
Microwave.
microwave, right? They extended Claxton in the offseason. I don't know why. I feel like that's another guy that should be traded. But aside from that, they got nothing going on over there. I was looking at their roster earlier, and I'm like, God, this is a sad team.
Yeah.
But they have done better than people thought. They're 21 and 39. I mean, that their over under was 18 and a half. So they already are they already hit the over, and there's still 30 something games left for them. Um, Despite their team being a bunch of nothing, basically. Here's the issue: is that even though they're top six right now in terms of their lottery odds, they basically have no chance to get in the top three. The Wizards got 11 wins. They're not catching the Wizards. I want to say is the Jazz have 15 wins, so that's 6 games ahead. And the last team is another really bad Eastern team. The Hornets have
Jazz are
like
15 and Hornets are
Hornets are
14.
14. Yeah. So lots of those three teams they're not going to catch for sure. And then the teams in the range of 4 games of them, the Raptors, the 76ers, the Bulls, the Pelicans, and the Spurs, all within 4 wins of the Nets. So they have a chance, if they accidentally win some more like they have been doing, um, to finish with like a back end lottery pick, which would be pretty bad for them. You want to try to jumpstart this thing with in a draft class that is apparently very talented. Cooper Flag at one, but then you have like Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, BJ Edgecombe. There's a couple names for you draft people um, coming up in this draft. So you want to kind of try to get as close to the top as you can, obviously. So they've been doing the season incorrectly. They've been winning too much. Uh, so I'm just kind of fascinated to see where they end. I think the Raptors have been doing a good job of almost winning and then losing a lot this season. The Wizards look horrendous. Not good for their long-term culture, but good for tanking for this draft specifically. The Hornets are a disaster, bunch of injuries. I don't know what's going on with that team. The Jazz have been what feels like a bottom three team for 8 years, even though it's only been like 2 years.
Yeah, I
I
was
don't
gonna
know.
say.
Just like God, this team feels so bad for some reason. Um, it's just the way they're doing it. I don't know. So, I kind of feel like this was the season for the Nets to do that after getting all their own picks, and they haven't. And I'm just kind of wondering what the future of this franchise looks like. Because, like I said, they got really nothing going on right now. Like they don't have like a really exciting prospect, and I guess that's what this upcoming draft is supposed to be. Um, but they also don't have like I named Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton. That's about it when it comes to like talent on their roster that other teams I think would really want to trade for. So they're not good, but they're also not young and exciting. They're just kind of nothing. And I don't know what that means for them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I know this is a talk about the Nets for the last few weeks was they just won too much already this year. I really hate that that's an argument that we're having that we're like on the side of because I want teams to play basketball to win. I'm just that
Yeah.
I don't like knowing that a team's trying to lose. So I really love that the Nets were like, "Hey, let's just hey, we're not great. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose." And they're like, "Damn, we won." Like, damn. So I feel bad for them, but I'm glad that they did the right thing in that respect. So I hope they get rewarded in some other way. But again, like at
They
least
have
they
a
have some
they have a first year head coach. Can you name his name?
it's not Charles Lee. That's the Hornets.
That is the Hornets.
I watched some Nets and I totally forgot his name. What is his name?
It starts with a J.
Jalen.
It's Jordy. His name is Jordy. Last name
Jordy
starts with an F.
Jordy Faulkner.
Yeah, Jordy Fernandez. That's the Brooklyn Nets
Fernandez.
head coach.
Cool.
Yeah, he's winning too much. They're gonna fire him for winning. How
Yeah,
dare you?
get out of here. Bring back Steve Nash.
God.
Sad, sad. Um, yeah, I'm looking at the roster too, and I'm like, yeah, these people are going to be moved. They'll get some more picks. I don't. It's okay. At least this is what I'll say about the future. Like the future is uncertain because who knows what lottery pick they'll get. But at least it's not bleak. They will get some young guys, and
At
then
least
they
they
might
got their own picks back.
exactly. Like I think that's
Feels like a
what
expansion roster. Like doesn't feel like a real NBA roster. It's
it's so
weird.
true because they have like the names we've mentioned sound like these are like going to be players that you just kind of throw onto a new
Yeah.
team and then you build something else. So it's interesting. I'm looking at the roster right now. It's very interesting for sure. But okay, can you remind me the five teams you talked about to watch down the stretch?
Yes, I talked about the Brooklyn Nets, the Orlando Magic, the Miami Heat, the Indiana Pacers, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Five teams that I just think I'm clueless about what their future entails. I don't know, whether that means in the long term, whether that means this season specifically, and the postseason, how they're going to kind of finish out among the questions going on with their roster. Um, yeah, I just feel like a lot of these teams have varied results for how the next couple of seasons could play out for them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And there's one team that wasn't mentioned because we are going to talk about them next time. Oh, you already mentioned it, Detroit
I did.
Pistons. Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
the
I realized that
Pistons.
after I said it. But yeah, those are teams to watch down the stretch. I'm very excited to see how the season turns out. It seems kind of like deja vu last year. The West is again like just in the middle, like
Yeah,
one or
it's
two
a
games away. Who knows where going to anything end up? And the East is like, oh, the top six teams. If you have a winning record, you're in the playoffs.
yeah.
And if you're below that, you have a losing record, and you might be in the play-in. So
Congratulations, Chicago Bulls. You're the 10 seed again for some reason.
it's pretty crazy how often that has just been happening. Um, but yeah, at least they have a Lithuanian.
So true.
Exactly.
Matas.
Matas, Buzelis. All right.
That'll be a great crowd chanting name right there.
Buzelis.
Name starts with Boo. That's a bad crowd chanting name right
Buzelis.
there.
Matas
Why is he booing me? I don't
Buzelis.
understand.
And it's like, that's just my name. I'm going to change it to Moo.
Moo?
Moozalis.
Matas cheers Ellis. Yay.
Cheer, yeah. Happy cheers, Alice. Yay. Yay, Alice. There we go. Okay. You know what's crazy?
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Yeah.
I think it's the end of the pod. I think we got made it to the end of the pod.
That wasn't unhinged enough.
Oh, we can be more unhinged.
It's
Take the
weird.
shot.
I like
Take
feel
that
very
shot.
unhinged, but then when I get into pod mode, I'm like, okay, I'm
Yeah,
in
you're
pod
like,
mode now.
okay, so why is D'Angelo Russell still in the Nets?
Yeah.
Let's get unhinged. Okay, let's get real.
I gotta
Mm.
talk real for a second. Real is this shot right here that I'm about to nail.
Nail
Three,
it, nail it, nail
two,
it, nail it,
one.
nail it, nail it, nail
Yeah.
it, nail it, nailed. Dude, came back to you. It returned. Everything
I've
has
been
a
working. I
return.
played basketball on Friday with Jared. I forgot to mention that.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Also, didn't you go play for like 2 hours?
I sure did at the rec. Yeah, I went and
Yeah.
played at Peace Park. That's where we played on Friday because the rec was only
Lovely.
open for like an hour. Wah!
I can't wait to play basketball again.
No!
Oh, nailed it. Nailed it. That was a good
Um,
unhinged ending, right? I think that was pretty good. Very good.
now I
Yeah.
ordered a new chair because my chair's like falling apart. I've had it for a couple of years.
Have I
Um,
ever shown the chair that I sit in on the pod?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's do it.
No! 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 It's like a
This is
fucking foldable restaurant chair. God
yeah,
damn it.
it's been my chair in my rooms for 6 years.
That seems so uncomfortable.
It's actually I bought a new one and I hated it, so I went back to the old one.
It
I
wasn't
bought like
broken enough.
no, no, not even the exact same. I just bought a new chair. It
Oh,
was
I
like
see.
should have been like an office, and then it was just it creaked because I record, and
Mhm.
it creaked too much. It was making too much noise. So I went
Mm.
back to this one, and also wasn't as comfortable.
Got your
Yeah, a lot of
booty
memories in
prints in
this.
it.
Oh, dude, you don't even want to know. You don't even want to know. Anyway, so I'm glad I showed my chair on the pod.
If you made it to this point, comment Dom's chair.
Dom's
That
chair.
whoa.
Comment, come on. Whose chair do you like more, Damon's or Dom's?
Damn. Can you? I mean, you can kind of see my chair, I guess.
Yeah, gamer chair.
It's gamer chair or the new chair that's I think pretty much just it's similar to this, but not quite the same. We'll see. We'll
Gotcha.
see.
Can't wait to see it. Anyway, so this has been Two Man Game with Damon and Dom.
Bye.